We're now recording. Mayor, I have a few preliminary matters. This is Zoe Burgess, your city clerk. The meeting of the city council is being held with a quorum of City of Westlake Council physically in attendance at the Westlake Council Chambers, 4005 Seminole Pratt Whitney Road. Mayor Roger Manning, Vice Mayor John Paul O'Connor, Councilwoman Kara Crump are present physically and in attendance. Councilman Patrick Paul, are you on the line? Councilwoman Katrina Long Robinson is attending via communications technology. City Manager Kenneth Castle, Interim City Attorney Donald Duty, City Clerk Zoe Burgess, Planning and Zoning Director Nilsa Zacharias, and Engineering Director Suzanne Dombrowski are present and physically in attendance. Councilwoman Long Robinson, are you able to hear and speak?
I am.
Thank you. Public comments may be accepted prior to the meeting utilizing the electronic comment card available on the city's website. Public comments are also permitted at the appropriate time during the meeting. The mayor will call for such during public comment, and you may participate at this time utilizing the system's virtual hand feature and waiting to be acknowledged if you wish to comment. Please note this meeting is being recorded, both voice and video, and to remember your mic may be live. I will mute any microphones that carry any feedback or interruptions. If you are a caller that has been muted, you may unmute yourself by pressing *6. Any person in the virtual meeting causing a disruption or being inappropriate will be removed from the meeting. If I may also remind those physically in attendance, please utilize microphones so that the virtual audience and a clear recording of the meeting is produced. Thank you, Mayor Manning.
Thank you. The call to order the regular council, city council meeting Monday, October 11th at 7 p.m. City clerk, roll call.
Councilwoman Crump,
Here.
Vice Mayor O'Connor,
Present.
Mayor Manning.
Here.
We have a quorum, 3-0. Councilwoman Long Robinson is attending virtual WebEx. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda. We do have one item to insert, and we're going to do it. I'd like approval to insert it after our new business resolution 2021-32, which is a discussion regarding the incorporation of the Seminole Indian Trails Improvement District. Do we have a motion to add that in from the?
Motion to amend the agenda, please.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion to amend the agenda by Councilwoman Crump, seconded by Vice Mayor O'Connor. Roll call. Councilwoman Crump,
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor,
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes,
Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
thank you.
Now, if you would approve the agenda as amended, Mayor.
Pardon me?
Approve the agenda as amended, please.
Okay. We have
I'll
the
make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
second.
Motion to approve agenda as amended by Councilwoman Crump, seconded by Vice Mayor O'Connor. Roll call. Councilwoman Crump,
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor,
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Okay, we're gonna open up for public comments concerning the agenda this evening or any other matter.
Mayor, we received no previous comment cards. If anyone in the virtual audience wishes to make a comment, please raise your virtual hand. Please state your name and address. If you've been muted, you may press *6 to speak. If you wish to make a comment in the virtual audience, please raise your virtual hand. Please state your name and address. If you're a caller that has been muted, please press *6. Mayor, we have no comments.
Thank you very much. Next item is our consent agenda. This evening, we have one item on that. That's the financial report for August 2021. Do we have a motion?
Make a discussion, approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion to approve consent agenda by Vice Mayor O'Connor, seconded by Councilwoman Crum. Roll call, Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes,
Councilwoman Crum.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you. This evening, we do have an item on a proclamation that was presented by Councilwoman Long Robinson. This proclamation, I'll read out loud. The City of Westlake, Florida. Whereas breast cancer touches the lives of Americans from every background and in every community across our nation, and whereas though we have made great strides combating this devastating illness, more than 200,000 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year, and tens of thousands are expected to lose their lives to the disease. And whereas during the month of October, National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we honor those we have lost, lend our strength to those who carry on the fight, and pledge to educate ourselves and our loved ones about this tragic disease. And whereas though the exact causes of breast cancer are unknown, understanding its risk factors is essential to prevention. Whereas early detection is also key in the fight against breast cancer, and getting recommended screening mammograms can help to detect the breast cancer early. Now, therefore, I, Roger Manning, by virtue of authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Westlake, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 2021 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. However, therefore, on behalf of the city council and the people of the city of Westlake, I, Roger Manning, mayor of the city of Westlake, by virtue of authority invested in me, do hereby officially proclaim October 21st as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I said that once before. Further, I call upon the residents of the city of Westlake to join in activities that will increase awareness of what Americans can do to prevent breast cancer. Thank you for bringing this forth, Councilwoman Long Robinson. This is very dear to my heart and to a lot of people that have suffered with this outrageous disease. Thanks again.
Mr. Mayor. As a follow-up to that, in my discussions with Councilwoman Long Robinson, I have, on the Seminole Improvement District side, we have purchased pink coverings for the lights on Seminole Pratt Whitney Road, so the lighting in the trees will be turning pink as of today.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you. If I just may say just one word, a couple of things. Thank you to everyone who has supported the proclamation, and I would hope I could charge Vice Mayor O'Connor to possibly, I see he has on his pink for this proclamation today, I'm assuming, but I would love to charge him with leading something so that we could celebrate Westlake going pink. I know that he has his ear to the ground in the community. He engages them. And so as soon as you engage them with something, Vice Mayor, I would love to attend, but I would hope I can ask you to engage our community as Westlake goes pink for something as exciting as this. Is the first time that we've done something like this. And so I would hope, kind sir, that you would help lead the charge in that.
100% consider it done.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you again, Councilwoman. Okay, we'll move on to our public hearing, quasi judicial. And this is concerning the approval of the Grove Market site plan by the Planning and Zoning Department.
Any of those individuals who could testify during the course of this quasi judicial proceeding, please stand, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Please proceed.
It's mine. Amen. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and Nilsa Zacharias, Planning and Zoning Director for the City of Westlake. I'm very happy that the application for Grow Market site plan modification is in front of council this evening to be heard. Maybe I need a clicker. Just a space bar. Okay. Thank you. We all know that the Grow Market Shopping Plaza is fronting Seminole Pratt Whitney Road as shown on this graphic. The existing shopping plaza is 9.98 acres. The future land use and the zoning is mixed use. This is just to refresh our memories that the Grow Market Shopping Center was built in 1999 and has new owners since 2016. As you recall, there was a number of applications this year in front of this council. The first one was the Winn-Dixie site plan modification, and then also there was the Grow Market site plan modification, but focusing only on aesthetic changes. And those approvals were on June 14, 2021. There was also another application in front of council, which was for the Grow Market master signage plan. And that was approved by this council August 9, 2021. So I always like to emphasize how important is aesthetics for our city. So in every development application that we receive, we are always looking for the aesthetic. How is this application contributing to the beauty of our city? So this is, and it's very important because it's part of our comprehensive plan too. So the specifics. This site plan modification that is in front of you tonight is adding to they are reconfiguring and making some changes at the parking lot. That's one of the most important contributions of this site plan modification. They are adding 22 low-speed electric vehicles of golf carts. And also 12 motorcycles spaces. They are also identifying and addressing accessibility issues. And those specific items will be presented by the applicant. Number 3, they are showing the changes that were previously approved through the Winn-Dixie and the overall plaza aesthetics. Number 4, updating the square footage of the existing building, because as you recall, there was a little reduction because they changed the entrance to the Winn-Dixie. So there was a minor reduction on the square footage. Very important, they are improving the dumpster enclosures and they are updating the existing walkway. And we will show a specific with regard how they are updating the existing walkway. In general, this application is in compliance with the following criteria of the mixed-use zoning district in terms of setbacks, in terms of lot coverage. The code requires 45% maximum lot coverage. They are providing 20%, and the code requires a minimum pervious or open space area 25%. They are providing 26.1%. This is just an overall view. What are the different components of this site plan? We have a number of different uses. One, we have the grocery store, which is building A. We also have a retail for Building B, future retail also, Building B, retail, Building C, and as you see there, D as a Daniel is future retail. And obviously the store, the gas store, fuel store. So these square footages are important because they were at some point approved by Palm Beach County. So they are part of previous approval, these square footages. With regard to parking, as I mentioned before, the applicant is including 22 parking spaces for golf carts. And then at this time, they are not providing a charging station for electrical vehicle. They can further explain what are the plans with regard to those specifics. So they are, as this table shows, the specifics of the, in red, the requirement is 365 parking spaces, and they are providing 430 parking spaces. So they have ample parking spaces. Also, they are looking into specifics how to comply with ADA, and they have, so they will also further explain how they will be in compliance in terms of curbs, ramps, sidewalks, and a number of those 1 to 11 improvements. This is very important because, as I mentioned before, this is a plaza that was built in 1999 and at the time was in compliance with the Palm Beach County Code. So there are certain aspects that are not in compliance with our current city code. So this table provides specifics, which are those components. And most of them are related to parking. And I'm sure you have the staff report has also the table and it's very specific. So the applicant provided a detail which is required and which is provided. Some of them is the width of the parking stall. In some instance, our code requires 9.5 feet and some of the stalls are only 9 feet the width. So there are minors. Sometimes the depth is 19 feet. What we require is 19 feet, and then they are providing 16.8. But I have an important, this next slide is showing in terms of parking spaces where they are above code and where they are not in compliance. Hopefully you can see very clearly it's color coded. Staff has worked very closely with the applicant to truly understand where we are not in compliance and what for. So the color code shows the specifics. In terms of the dumpster enclosure, they are proposing and also with landscape screening and will be added to the east side of the site. The applicant is also proposing to refinish the existing covered walking area, and they will use this material, start the concrete coating, and they will complement the color of the building. It's, the proposed color is in yellow there, surrounded in yellow. It's basically a light gray. The landscaping plan will also was reviewed in depth. Thank you so much to our landscape architect. Tanya did an amazing job working with the applicant. So these are the, number one, we are adding vegetation to the base of the new signs. Number two, addressing missing shrubs and ground cover within existing buffers and planting areas. Number three, remove most of the trees in the median and some on the end of the island for the main angle parking to allow functional site lighting and provide safer circulation. Because some of these are mature trees that had grown so much, so the lighting just doesn't get to, to where it's supposed to be, and that's prevent safety after all. So adding trees to enhance the shopping plazas, the shopping plaza look and new refurbishment. So this table shows in detail what are the trees that are removed, the trees that are proposed, and the trees that are relocated. It's a very detailed table. So also this graphic shows in detail in terms of landscaping. As I mentioned before, the existing parking lot has several trees in poor condition and backing the adjacent pavement. So also the parking lot has been redesigned to preserve the healthy and viable canopy trees, while selectively removing the trees that are in poor condition. So these are all criteria and was further reviews and a number of resubmittals. In terms of drainage, requirements from pre-treatment prior to discharge of site due to changes in the impervious area will be addressed in the land development permitting process. The discharge into the master drainage system will be in accordance with the master plan for the city of Westlake. So all of that's being reviewed by our engineer, city engineer. With regard to traffic, there was not really a high impact. And fire safety also, the Palm Beach County, Mr. Wesley Jolin, he reviewed the plan. These are photos to show the existing conditions of the plaza. And also I appreciate that these photos and legends were provided by the applicant to show the conditions of the routes, and that is actually it's not contributing to the safety of the plaza. It will be easy to trip because of the routes. For example, these ones also. So we documented extensively the existing conditions of the plaza. So planning and zoning and engineering departments are recommending approval of this application with the following two conditions of approval. So those were very detailed in the staff report. The condition number one specifically refers to the abandoned left turn lane onto Seminole Pratt Whitney Road should be either stripped or curbed and absorbed into the adjacent landscape island by expanding the landscape island and effective funneling traffic into one lane, right turn only, period. See sketch below for a visual example of how this could be achieved. Exact configuration may differ. So number two, the second condition of approval, the dry aisles within the affected area of the parking lot containing 60-degree parking shall be maintained at a minimum width of 15 feet. There is one noted location that is less than 50 feet. It appears that the northernmost curb line in the area can be adjusted to accommodate the 15 feet minimum. So I understand the applicant has a presentation too.
Thank you.
Yep, got it.
And we use the space bar, right? Good evening, Council. For the record, Emily O'Mahony with 2GHO. I am pleased to be here in person. Last time when I spoke, I had COVID, like your missing councilwoman there. I am here for the third in a series. We are going to just go over, Nilsa covered it really well, so I hope I have some graphics that actually explain it better. We're really excited to really upgrade this plaza and give it a really nice look for the city. Once again, it's the third application to site plan following the sign and the principal tenant, Winn-Dixie. We all know this, 10 acres, where it sits, et cetera. The red line on this drawing shows the area that we did the major concern, that parking lot, the main parking lot. We addressed accessibility, Winn-Dixie as a principal tenant who mandated the size of the width of parking spaces and providing for shopping cart places out in the parking lot. We fixed the square footage so it's actual and identified nonconformities and added low-speed electric vehicle parking. The issues we saw out on the site that we wanted to solve through this was the trees were lifting the asphalt in the medians, which are too small. The owner needs to repave as a condition for the principal tenant and upgrade the center. To repave would damage those roots that we saw pictures of already and potentially kill those trees, which were not doing well to start with. And also small radii turning into the parking aisles impacts the safety, the people swinging way out to try and get in. And there were some substandard green spaces which do create smaller trees, which we try to fix. And the lighting and tree conflicts create some safety problems, which we mostly are dealing with through pruning. The upper picture there is a tree and light conflict. You can see the root lifting up the asphalt there in a very narrow median. And here's some more trees that you see what it's doing. So it would be impossible to fix that parking lot and bring it up to speed and not affect these trees. These are examples of turning radii that are too small. In fact, the parking space on the lower right would actually be pulling into the main drive when it backs up because it is so close to that. Okay, I don't have any animation on here, but did have some. So the main area of concern is what we dealt with and to make it all compliant and really function. The two red areas still have some nonconformities, but the upper one has some square footage, some future retail that they're planning to build out. So you will see that again. And the same with the other circle. There's some other plans for this center, so more opportunity. This really solves the majority, the major part of the project. And a closer look. The yellow is removal and the green is adding to green space. So we've taken out all the medians, 5 of them along there that are uncurbed and have trees that are lifting asphalt, and they're mostly mahoganies. And we're trying to increase all the green space to make more viable green space for the trees that are in curbed situations. As noted, we have more parking than is needed, but please note we have 22 electric vehicle parking spaces and 12 motorcycle or compact cars. Your code doesn't call for compact cars, but it would be suitable for it. And we still have the same 3 loading areas. Talking about non-compliance, it's actually easier to see it in some of these things. The orange area up on top is the one area where their aisle is not wide enough. The orange area on the left in the corner, in the center of the sheet, is those are not, the depths aren't deep enough. And all the yellow area is above code. So the aisle areas where the major angled parking is, there's actually wider space, so the backing up will be more comfortable. Yet we kept the entry into the parking area, the code width of 15. So it's just really good to know that that is above code and minor areas are under code. This next one, this is width of parking spaces. So all of the parking spaces, except for those few little pink ones, are above code. And all the ones sitting in front of Winn-Dixie, the future Winn-Dixie, are 10 feet wide. And angled parking is required to be 9.5. And all the rest of the spaces are 9 feet when it's straight 90-degree parking. So that's really good news. This one shows the red circle is where there's landscape and terminal islands that don't meet the requirement. And the yellow is the runs of parking spaces that exceed the 10 parking spaces. So it's minor. We go up to 11 and 12 spaces, I believe. And the islands that are non-compliant are up in that area pretty much that would be redone when they add the square footage to the site plan. It's all part of the master site plan. Taking a close look at what we did and how we improved the parking lot within that area. This is just the technical drawing, but we're trying to get in close here. We had animation and it looks really cool when it comes in. But the big circle in the middle is showing how the existing islands were there. We got expanded and we could add when we did where the stars are, which is the electric vehicle golf cart parking. So because we added those around those center islands, it allowed us to actually make bigger green spaces and give more space for trees to grow. And the other circle, the smaller circle, is what the areas of where we were doing parking diamonds, but diamonds don't work on angled parking. So that's where we made 10 feet by 5 foot boxes to put a palm cluster and where we would then park the motorcycles because those spaces would be a bit shorter. So that's the equivalent of a parking island. And the other improvement we did was really standardize and to state of the art, the handicap parking spaces. So the handicap parking spaces all have aisles that lead and are not part of the driveways and go across the street, and you're not walking behind any other cars. In fact, you're not even walking behind your own car. So this is, state of the art. This is how it needs to be done. The other main issue that we did was it had been identified in earlier studies that the turning radiuses for trucks getting to the back was impeded by that one island. So we have pushed back to make a better turning radius to get back into there for the loading area. We have moving a royal palm there, and some of the other area, there was one planting area that was approved to be removed with the Winn-Dixie improvements, and the trees are going at the entry here where it says relocated ligustra. As to the condition, we would like to do the striping, and this is, we have no problem. We'll get that done there, striping like that for the right turn out at the entry. And some of that striping is already there, but we'll clean up and make it accurate. This, we have no problem. We want to make sure everything is 15 feet. I have to tell you, we went out and measured that one, and it measures at 16 or 17 feet out there. So we got to look at the survey and make sure. But our goal would be when it comes in, it's not going to be under in this pace, because that's what we're trying to fix. So we have no problems with the conditions. We think that it's a win-win for everybody, and take any questions. Thank you.
Mayor,
Thank
if I
you.
might, just to clarify your statements, ma'am, excuse me.
I'm
ma'am.
sorry. I hear you back here, so that's weird. Okay.
So the applicant accepts the 2 conditions proposed by staff.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That makes it easy.
Yes.
I do have a couple questions, if I may. I just want to clarify some language because, in terms of those big roots that were coming out of the concretes and different areas, you said we're trying to resolve, we're trying to create more green space. Can we just not use that word try and say we are going to resolve and make sure that it's done right and proper.
Right, okay, you're absolutely right. We are going to remove the trees that are in medians that are planted incorrectly and creating a problem, period, the end.
Done, thank you.
And we're creating additional green space that will be properly curbed and of a good dimension to allow for more adequate root growth.
Excellent, thank you. Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Mr. Castle.
Mr. Mayor, I have one question. Neil, so I noticed on here, there is Building D, future retail. That's an out parcel. Is that part of this master site plan or is that a separate site plan? That would have to come in as a separate site plan when somebody develops that,
Oh, yes.
correct?
Yeah,
Definitely will be a separate site plan.
the parcel D at the corner, the southwest corner.
Can we
Yes.
put, I want to go back and put the drawing.
Right, the one that's up here right now, it shows it. It's
Mhm.
on
Yeah,
that.
right.
But
Yes.
I just
Right there.
kind of understand whether that
Here.
that site, that out parcel would have to come in for its own site plan when it becomes developed by whoever, correct?
Yeah, we don't own that
Right, that's why I'm trying to make sure that you're not on the hook for,
property in 2019.
understand, that's what I
master
want to
plan.
make sure that you're not on the hook for that, of something that whoever comes in has to do their own. Okay,
Right, and that includes even building out the additional approved, how many square feet is up on, attached to the main building? There's some additional square footage, 14,000, that if we build that out, we still have to come for a site plan modification.
that, I just want to make sure
Okay.
that we're not approving something that's outside that you don't have to do. You know what I'm saying? All right, good, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from council? This is a public hearing. We have any questions from the public?
Mayor, we received no public comments. However, we do have a virtual hand by Ms. Torres. Ms. Torres, please state your full name and address.
Hi, thank you. Alicia Torres, 5847 Whippoorwill Circle. I just want to really make it known, I'm just a resident, but I really do appreciate the analysis and work that went into reconfiguring that parking lot. As far as the motorcycle parking goes and the EV golf cart parking goes, it looks like it's gonna, and the landscaping, it's gonna be a completely different place. I think the residents will really appreciate that. I do have concerns about that outer building. I lived near a place that had a fast food restaurant and in a location like that, and it just kind of was a nightmare as far as traffic routing went. So I just wonder if there is a zoning for that building, and if it's fast food or something that will require a lot of traffic going through, if there's a plan for that traffic. Thank you.
It's because we had to look at this site as a whole master plan. Even though my client doesn't own that property, it is called out as an office. It is parked as an office. So it's been considered that, not to say someone couldn't come in and put a restaurant, but they would have to prove that there's enough parking, that traffic works, and they'd still have to get it approved by this board.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Nielsen.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. We should close the public hearing before we go to council comments,
Before the council comments.
please. So we're
We're
still
gonna
in the public hearing.
Close the public hearing, and we'll have council comments.
Please, thank you.
KP.
This is not actually my council comments. This is a comment in regards to what we just approved, which I don't believe we've voted on. But quick question. If I'm not mistaken, isn't electrical vehicle, not low-speed electrical vehicle, but EV chargers required now by our parking code?
No, they are not what is required is well, first of all, this application has been before the new parking code was adopted. That's number one. But however, they are providing the golf carts.
I
And
know,
then-
I'm talking specifically
Yes.
towards electric vehicle.
The electric vehicle, I can't recall exactly.
believe it was
Suzanne, our engineer is here. So if the electric
don't know what
vehicle was
1%.
required.
Good evening, Suzanne Dombrowski, City Engineer. There are requirements for the electric vehicles. There is a minimum for non-residential in the newly adopted code. But as Nielsa said, this application came in prior to that code being adopted.
Approved prior to
No,
the
no,
code
no.
being adopted.
There are parking spaces, electric vehicle parking spaces
I thought
are
so.
required.
Which is the golf carts.
Nope, there's
No.
low speed.
On top of that.
Yes, so there are
Actual-
two different types of parking spaces that are required by the new code.
But because this application was made prior to adoption of the code, we're gonna go ahead and
Correct, and we still encourage them, and they did come back
Do the
with
golf cart, which I'm
the
very
addition of
happy
a lot
about.
of low-speed electric vehicle parking spaces.
Okay, understood. Does the applicant have any plans maybe in the future of doing some electric vehicle chargers?
Yes, we've been in talks with Tesla.
Your name, sir?
Sorry, Michael Narula, representative of the applicant. We have been in communication with them. They have been very slow moving. Apparently, they've had a change of personnel. We believe it to be in the best interest of the property. Certainly, Winn-Dixie would love to have it there. So we will endeavor and do our best to get them installed, ideally with the rest of this project simultaneously, but we were unable to commit to that coming into tonight.
Just so you know, so FP&L has a pilot program that they're launching right now specifically for electric chargers. You might want to reach out to them.
Certainly, yeah.
I think that something came across my desk from the county as well. They've got a program going on, so.
If
I
you
give it
have
a pay
any
for it,
information you can share,
forward it to you.
okay. Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. And I want to thank city staff because they've done an amazing job working with us on this for months. Our intention was to come and present this to you in August, then September, and even making the October meeting, I think was a challenge. So your staff has done an amazing job, and they've certainly worked with us and given us great ideas, and we're happy to implement them here.
Thank you.
you.
With any other comments from council? Have a motion. Changes.
I'll make a motion to approve requiring staff's suggested changes.
I'll second the motion.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Our next item is also public hearing, first reading, chapter 24, art in public places. Again, submitted by planning and zoning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a card?
Mayor, if I might introduce the ordinance by title only. Ordinance by title only, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Westlake, Florida, amending Chapter 24 of the city's Code of Ordinances entitled Art in Public Places, providing for definitions, providing for an exemption for residential development and temporary structures, providing for the appointment by City Council to the Public Places Advisory Board, providing for the repair or replacement for damaged or destroyed artwork, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Well, we had quite a bit of discussion of this item in our LPA meeting. Guess we can go through this again. Let's take it that stance and just.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Nilsa Zacarias, Planning and Zoning Director for the City of Westlake. I just, obviously, this was discussed in detail during the LPA meeting. One thing that after reading carefully, the second reading, we believe will be in November. So usually when the second reading is passed and adopted, then the ordinance is in place. However, I would like to suggest to have a period where they could, because if an applicant arrives in right after the second reading, then they will need to comply with this. But I recall, Don Hearing is not here, but I recall that he had a specific suggestion to give like a period of time for the developers to know that this is a major ordinance, that this will be in place. And I believe, he's not here, but I believe he was recommending to start like January 1st with applications that come in, starting in January 1st, then they will be required to, to go through this. So I'm just trying to be truthfully to the discussions that we had with Mr. Hearing.
Because of the discussion we had in the LPA about this, do we need to go through that discussion again?
Respectfully, I don't think you need to go in quite as much detail. You can accept staff's report as part of the record and just pick up your conversation based on your LPA recommendation.
Okay. So. That Councilwoman Long Robinson, those, there were some high points there that you had brought up. Can we go over those again?
And I'll just echo what I said earlier, that I think that it's a great opportunity for something like this to be implemented in the city as it relates to identifying the richness that is comprised of Westlake, and being able to highlight the diversity and making sure, which we already do a dynamic job of doing, that it's an inclusive city. And I kind of brought up that I know at one time Councilman Paul questioned about the cost of this program. And in section 3, from what I looked at or read rather, it identifies that grants as well as donations will fund this program, and it will not come out of our general funds. I think that that is to be commended and highlighted, so residents can rest assured that this is something that will not cost them. However, it will cost the developers, as Nilsen mentioned earlier, developer incentive. I did identify, or I talked about it, and I think we had a great conversation about it as far as a student being represented on this board, because we're finding that it's difficult to give the student that we have placed on the Educational Advisory Board task, if you would. So I thought about that, or wanted to just highlight, make a comment that maybe adding a student right now may be a big task or a big feat. However, Mr. Castle clarified that it would be a non-voting member. So I am definitely open to keeping that language in there. I do like, and I want to highlight, when we talked about this in June or July for those listening, we changed the language as far as the guidelines of who would serve and who could serve. I do like the fact that it says shall instead of should, because then it does open it up to people, who may not have an educational degree in art. I know at one point we just simply had college educated, and so we changed it because we knew that not everyone would have a college degree who may want to serve on the board, because even at that meeting, we did identify that this is volunteerism. So thank you to staff for kind of going back and looking at that language. Also, I know that we did talk about, we talked about in depth, live or work in the city. The board member shall live or work in the city. I don't know if there's some language that can be implemented for that, but I just, I just want us to be mindful that all of us, we may want to serve in Westlake forever, but it will be hard to change that once it's documented to identify if we're going to say live or work in the city. And I think the attorney did highlight that, or maybe Mr. Castle did, but I just wanted us to be clear on the verbiage for that. And last but not least, again, I do appreciate each of you for your hard work with ironing this out. This has been a long time coming, identifying art in public places. And so I appreciate staff and I appreciate the council for us looking at this and taking our time on it to make sure that we set the foundation for this ordinance. And so those are all my comments, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
I'll reiterate real quick. So love the should instead of shall. I think it's great to not tie us down and give us the option. I think it's fantastic. In terms of the student, again, if it's a liaison and not a voting member, then if we get some savant, then wonderful. If not, and he doesn't produce that much, or she, so be it. In terms of live or work in the city, ultimately it's going to be up to the council anyways. I really don't see any reason why we should tie our hands down again. I mean, at the end of the day, if the curator of the Guggenheim retires and gets a job at our tax collector's office, I'm going to want them on that board if they want to be on the board. So having the opportunity
Right,
is better than not having the opportunity.
agree.
And that's basically it. I love the entire program. I love how it's funded. I think it's amazing. And I'm excited to see some color in our
Get it
city.
done, yeah. So. Very good. We are still in public hearing. So if there's no other comment from the council,
I mean, I agree. Isn't the should or shall language, doesn't that pertain to the people that live or work? Wasn't that the reason why we're changing that?
That was the qualification for whether or not they should have a degree in,
Okay.
or a master's.
I thought it was
history.
live or work as well. Okay.
Conversation A1 would be no less than 4 of the board members should have.
Instead of
Shall
shall.
have.
Okay. Okay. So just there. Okay.
Opens it up.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
we can.
I agree totally.
city clerk?
You have a public comment. You have a public comment?
Yes, we're open for public comment.
Ms. Goldwire, please state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Lady Goldwire, address 15972 Whippoorwill Circle. My comment is centered around some of the language in the ordinance or this particular ordinance. And I just wanted to say also that I'm very, very happy that the city is taking this under consideration, especially being that we are so very new. It seems like we've been ahead of the game in relation to what other municipalities have been doing in spite of being very new. And that makes me very, very happy to be a Westlake resident. I do know that there were some comments that came up in the prior meeting, and I just wanted to piggyback on that with relation to the requirement that the individuals on the board, perhaps 4 of the positions, have degrees. I think art is representative of freedoms. It's a creative space. Very few people or many people who are engaged in, actively noting themselves as artists aren't really tied to the 4 corners of a box associated with degrees and additional studies. And so I think it would be quite limiting to have the predominance of that dais made up by, or this particular board made up by individuals who have degrees. I think individuals who show interest, who can demonstrate that they are well versed and well traveled, should be sufficient. And if in the event you needed to have professional subject matter experts on art, you perhaps should have it on the lower end of the requirement, maybe 3 individuals as opposed to 4. I don't think any of the greats, the Picassos, the the Van Goghs had degrees, and we see where uh, that landed us. Our community is so diverse. It's one where we focus on vocations and trades and alternatives to traditional educations within the community, looking at what you guys are doing over at Seminole Ridge, which is state of the art with those high school students, and them exploring what it looks like to venture into careers that don't necessarily rely on degrees. I think having that restriction is exactly that, restrictive. And so I'm glad that there's consideration being made for the language change. I also would agree that individuals who work in the city, and they typically take their tax dollars or their earnings into the city wherein they live. I think individuals who live in the city have a buy-in, and those should be the individuals making the decisions about the artwork that is on full display for the purpose of them living there, having to ride by the art and just have the art in their plain view. I'd hope that you guys would make consideration for re-examining the language so that it does lean heavily towards the residents of the community. That pretty much concludes my comments. Again, I'm very, very happy that Westlake is making the attempt to be as progressive as it is with regard to including the arts in everything that we're doing.
Thank you.
Mayor, you have another public comment from Ms. Torres. Ms. Torres, please state your full name and your address.
Hi, Alicia Torres, 5847 Whippoorwill Circle. I just want to say that I lived in DC, Washington, DC for a while, and I worked, I was friends with a lot of people who worked at the Smithsonian through that museum, through the art museums and whatever at the museums. But what I will say is that I think as many high schoolers we can get to at least observe the board. I understand the apprehension, but I really do think that this is experience that you can't get anywhere except on the job right now. I think that providing young high schoolers with the opportunity to see how a brand new city is building its board and its art portfolio is really priceless experience. So I'm definitely for the high schooler. I'm probably for as many high schoolers that want to be involved, but whatever. That's just my opinion. The other thing is I did have a question as to the funding. I understand that it's grant and donation based, but I know that the developer plays a big part of that. So I just would like a little bit of clarification as to where that line is drawn between third party or outside donors or, people who want to give money for a grant versus where the developer comes in. Thank you.
Thank you. Nelson, you want?
Yes. Yes, Mrs. Torres, Section 4 is very clear in terms of the monies. Says are in public places program requirements. Non-residential development projects with building construction costs of $1 million or more must either contribute 1% of the building cost of the project as a fee to the art acquisition fund, or provide the artwork that has an appraised value equal to 0.75%. So the money will be from the, one second. Yes, the money will be from the developer. So the developer has 2 options: to either contribute to the fund 1% of the building construction cost, or he or she, they will actually purchase the art and install the art. So in that case, will be 0.75% of the building construction cost. So the monies are coming principal mainly from the developers, from non-residential buildings.
Great, thank you, Nilsa. And anything below 1 million has no requirement, is that right?
Yes, no, we start at 1 million.
Okay, all right, thank you. That clears it up.
This is Nancy again. I just want to thank you all for this very, very good meeting and very hard work you've done. I agree with the changing of the language from shall to should. I agree with the preference being that somebody lives in the city, but that there's an opportunity for those that maybe have great exposure that work in the city and want to participate in our city to also be able to be involved. For the student, my thoughts on that are that instead of issuing a board seat for a student, I think that we should have a student liaison, and that student liaison could be a connector to the schools and maybe create their own group, a volunteer group that would be willing to work with the board and present ideas coming from the schools as to things that they would like to see and things that they'd like to have exposed. For example, one of the things that I had spoken about in a previous meeting was display of the art that the kids do in the schools. Having a space on a wall on the side, of a building when you go in it, that's devoted to, such and such elementary school, their art project, and that stays up for a month. So I'm kind
These are items, all these items would be items that would be brought up to the board. And if I'm correct, these boards are all public meetings, so any student or anyone can come to the meeting. So they will have an opportunity to speak up at these meetings. So I think that's how this is expected to move forward.
Ma'am, if you would please state your name and address for the record.
Nancy Bongiovanni, 16016 Whippoorwill Circle. I was addressing the issue of whether a student should be on the board, even if they're non-voting. And I had some thoughts that maybe student liaison would be a more appropriate title and role.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments.
Mayor, you have no other comments.
Okay.
No other comments.
No other. Okay, thank you. Then we'll close the public hearing. Do you have any other comments from the council regarding this item? Then if not, we have a motion, please.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-08 for the art in public places with the proposed changed language from shall to should. And then what was the other thing? That's it?
It's really it.
Okay.
Second.
Excuse me, subject to change in the verbiage.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Okay, our second item on public hearing is the second reading of ordinance 2021-07, solid waste and recyclable receptacles collection and storage areas minimum requirements. This first reading was on September 13th, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, ordinance 2021-07 by title only. Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Westlake, Florida, establishing minimum requirements for solid waste and recyclable receptacle collection and storage areas, which shall become part of the Code of Ordinances entitled Solid Waste and Recyclable Receptacles Collection and Storage Areas. Provide for codification, conflicts, provide for severability, and provide for an effective date.
On this ordinance, we went through the first reading and there weren't any changes to this item. So we'll open it up to any comment or questions about this item. And at this point, do we have any council questions or comments regarding this item?
No comment.
Okay, then we have nothing from the dais. Let's have, do we have any public comment regarding ordinance 2021-07?
Mayor, I received no previous public comment cards. We'll give the virtual audience a moment to raise their virtual hand. If you've been muted, please press *6. Or you may unmute your device. Please state your name and address. You have 3 minutes. I see no comments, Mayor.
Thank you very much. In that case, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-07.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a motion to adopt resolution 2021-07 by Councilwoman Crum, seconded by Vice Mayor O'Connor. Roll call. Councilwoman Crum,
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor,
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes,
Motion carries 3-0.
thank you. Those are public hearing items. Let's move to new business. Item A is city goals and objectives annual work plan update. Presented by Bob Conkar from Infomark.
Yes, Mayor and Council, Mr. Conkar sends his regrets. He is stuck in Colorado due to he was supposed to fly out yesterday and his flight's canceled, so he's stuck in Colorado. He will be finishing up the draft information. I believe he's been sent some of the information already in a separate cover. He will be coming back with a full report at the next meeting and the analysis for the financials of the past and future where we're going. So that'll be at the next meeting.
Motion to table?
Motion table.
I'll second the motion. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item B, consideration and action on annual engagement letter for auditing service with Burger Toombs, Lamb, Gaines and Frank for the year ending September 30th, 2021. City clerk
Right, I can take it.
has presented this to the council.
Yes. Mr. Mayor,
Council?
this is your engagement letter for the next year for your audit. The fees have remained the same and it's, yes.
Shocked.
Typically, the auditors will hold their fees for 3 to 5 years when they get into a routine. Yeah, I'm looking for 5. I'll keep pushing them. But it's been good on the audit and recommend approval.
Thank you. Could we have any comment on this? If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve our annual engagement for auditing services with Burger Toombs, Elam, Gaines, and Frank for year ending September 30th, 2021.
I'll second.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Next item C, memorandum of understanding with Infomark.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, this is, as we discussed at the last meeting, an additional admin individual to assist in the manager's office and mostly in the clerk's office for some of the items that are coming up, that as we continue to grow, we have more details that have to be done. And this will cover that person's position.
This is the position we already budgeted for. And
Yes, it was budgeted for and it was in the
Talked about.
doc. Yeah.
We have any further discussion on this item? Seems that we did approve it from the finance standpoint already.
I think that as we're growing so rapidly, it's important to add additional
Yeah.
stuff.
With that,
Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding with Infomark.
Second. Yes.
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 Item C, memorandum, oh, we got that one. Item D, 2021 Florida City Government Week, October 18th through the 24th.
Resolution by title only. A resolution of City Council, City of Westlake, Florida, recognizing Florida City Government Week, October 18th to 24th, 2021, encouraging all citizens to support the celebration and corresponding activities and providing for an effective date.
For myself, could somebody really explain what this resolution is all about? I don't really understand it.
This is just a resolution to acknowledge local government. Florida League of Cities promotes Local Government Week to acknowledge the work that's being done at a local level, especially for municipalities. And so it's just a week that we can use for social media as a platform to identify some of the services that are offered at your local level. And so we're going to take the time to put some information on the website and the city's Facebook page, just to acknowledge some of the work that's being done.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Hashtag Westlake strong.
So with that, we have any discussion? Council? No? Do we have a motion to adopt?
I'll make a
Or
motion.
not to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2021-32.
Second.
Made by Councilwoman Crump, seconded by Vice Chair.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Now our addition to the agenda this evening. The city manager has asked that we add this to the agenda this evening concerning the possible, the Indian Trails Improvement District motion to get to incorporate. So I'm going to leave it to him to explain.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council. Historically and typically, I would not recommend the council to speak to another entity's processes and plans of what they're trying to do, and more work out to what's mostly amenable to both sides. However, in Indian Trails, a number of things have been done outside of their authorization. Their original bill, House Bill 1185, specified a certain process they were supposed to spend public money on. Partially through it, they changed it, started going down another direction within state statutes. They've moved things around. I have concerns over their whole process, and I believe the impact to us is that they would, if incorporated, control the speeds, et cetera, on Seminole Pratt Whitney from Sycamore to Southern, from 60th to North Lake, from North Lake to where it reaches Palm Beach Gardens. Any road work, et cetera, that would also incur in that area for the county's thoroughfare plan would also have to be worked with Indian Trails or the village or whatever, village, I think they're calling it Village of Loxahatchee. So there's a number of things that they've spoken about before. It would adversely impact the connection at Persimmon and 140th. They've also spoken about safe neighborhood districts, creating them over there, which would also limit the ingress and egress for numbers of people, not just our residents, but anywhere else trying to get through from point A to point B, would seriously impact the movability and the traffic within the area. Those are the main areas that I outlined in my memorandum. There is a meeting of the date of the Palm Beach County delegation on October 28th. And my concern and request is that the council either authorize me as the manager or one of the board, and either through a resolution or just to go to the delegation meeting and express our opposition to the incorporation, the way it was done and how it's being processed.
Mr. Castle, I spoke about this item earlier today. I expressed to him that I think that probably, I feel that the best way to communicate our position on this is to attend the meeting. And I would attend the meeting with him also. And if we were to adopt a resolution, I think that we should, meeting being so soon, we have to do it very right away. I'd like to get everybody's feedback on how they feel about this. I know that, like Mr. Castle has said, he doesn't really normally would get in this position.
No.
And I don't think it's a position that we necessarily want to be in, except for it does affect the city. It could affect the city in a way that could be detrimental.
And there already is ongoing litigation between Indian Trails and Seminole Improvement District regarding the connections at 140.
Could we have your input, please, on this?
Yeah, with what he just said, I mean, with just the legal litigation that they're in and all that, it's just a headache. I would definitely oppose. I would agree. Them incorporating.
Say that one
I would
more time.
oppose them incorporating.
I mean, it is absolutely certainly eyebrow raising, and I'll admit, I haven't dug as deep as I should to all the intricacies of this, but, I trust my staff, wholeheartedly. If resolution is what's necessary, I'll stand behind it. If going to the meeting and making our position known is what's necessary, okay with that as well.
Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yes, I would defer, I only have a few more minutes in Westlake. So I would really defer to Vice Mayor O'Connor. I know he's currently in the seat, and so I would kind of lean heavily on him and his expertise and really what he would want the direction of the council to do. He is living out there every day. And so I would love to lean on him. And so since he has made it clear that he trusts our city manager to the expert at this, then I am going to go with, we're a team. So I won't go with the team.
All right, so we will show up at the delegation and raise our objections at that point in time. And if you will join me, I would be happy to
And
have
if
that.
you're available, Vice Mayor, I'd appreciate it. We stand stronger together, I think.
Correct.
And, the general consensus from what I've heard, and I don't know how accurate this is that, their own residents oppose this. And I see it as a means to an end for them. But if we can weigh in, let's weigh in.
Okay. Thank you. We'll be there and I'll give you the exact time and date. It's October 28th. And I'll get you the address and the time.
So we need to take a vote on this, that we attend? the
No,
meeting?
sir, I think you have consensus.
Okay, very good.
Thank you,
very
Mr. Mayor and Council.
much. Okay, thank you, Mr. Castle, for bringing it up.
And I did give you an article from the town crier as well as the original ordinance that was approved by the statutes for their incorporation, where they were supposed to be going on this incorporation process.
Very good, thank you. Okay, that leaves us with city council comments. Councilwoman Long Robinson.
I have no comments tonight. Just thank you to each and every one of you. I would love for the vice mayor to take, I saw that pen, that pink pen. So if Zoe would take a picture of vice mayor so he can announce that we will be going pink. I will definitely share that on my social media. Thank you all so much. I appreciate each of you and continue to look forward to continue to work with you until March. We're almost at the finish line here.
We're getting there, yeah. Councilwoman,
I don't have any comments. Just thank you to council and staff
thank you.
for all your hard work.
Vice Mayor.
Just want to thank my colleagues here on the council for their incredible leadership. I want to thank all the staff, and I mean all of them, for all of their hard work. I know this last month has been pretty tenuous. Specifically, I want to thank Councilwoman Long Robinson for bringing forward the proclamation of breast cancer awareness. It's unbelievably insanely important. Yes, I am very excited to paint the town pink, so to speak. So it'll be fun. I've got some ideas, and I'll hit the ground running.
Great. Thank you very much. And again, thank everyone. Being last is always easiest because everybody takes the words out of my mouth. And so let's everybody have a good month, and I look forward to that. I don't know if I'm looking forward to that meeting with Indian Trails, but you know what? We have to do what we have to do. So with that, we have any other staff reports other than what I got in my packet?
Just Mr. Attorney and myself.
Mr. City Attorney?
I'm seen and not heard this evening. So thank
I
you
don't
very
know.
much
I thank you for your guidance.
it's a pleasure to be here. You are a very cohesive unit, committed to your community and to the city, and the residents are well served by your presence.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Castle?
Couple items. First off, you'll notice that we have in place some newer video and sound equipment that shows the podium and shows each one of us as we speak on the screen. Zoe has the ability in her command center back there to move and zoom around and go in on people. There's a couple more items we have to add, but we're trying to make it so that the audience doesn't necessarily have to be here, especially when, 1 week it's okay and the next week it's not. And sometimes people are, sometimes people aren't. It looks like the streaming is going to be the wave of the future on a continuous basis. And public communication needs to be clearer so that everybody can hear and see. The other item is an update on an item that's near and dear to the Vice Mayor's heart. 4th of July celebration. I have the dates reserved with Zambelli. So we're working on the size of the event. I've also been in touch with the PR firm of S.A. Nelson. They are willing to shepherd it for us. And they will also work with the mayor's idea of sponsors and stuff. They will be doing the solicitations and the sponsoring and all that kind of stuff, working that together. I've also made contact, thanks to the vice mayor, of a group that was out here and performed that seemed to be well received by the residents. So we'll be contacting them as well. And we're looking at, it will probably be a pretty large event because we're looking at most of the infield between the sales center and the amenity centers possibly being utilized as viewing area. And we'll be working with the fire department and police department for additional setup and control food trucks. And my request is that the vice mayor work with myself and S.A. Nelson to continue to get this vision off the ground and let S.A. Nelson run with it and move forward.
So glad to help plan a party.
And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Our last item is public comment.
Mayor, we received no previous comments. However, we do have a virtual comment from Ms. Torres. Ms. Torres, please state your full name and address.
Alicia Torres, 5847 Whippoorwill Circle. It's me again. I just want to say, I don't know, I just feel like everything's really coming together. You guys are working really well together. These meetings are super efficient and productive. And I just want to thank you all for your work. Great job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. With that, we have anyone else, Zoe? That's it? Okay. Then we're gonna adjourn at 8:24. Everybody have a good evening.
Good night, everyone.
Everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Great job.
Good night. We'll see you all.
Pleasure. Thank you, sir.